Hi guys, I'm back speaking about relationships. And in this vlog specifically, I want to talk about reconciliation. So if you have been in a relationship or you are in one currently, you're going to agree with me that two things do happen. There are good things and there are the bad things that happen in a relationship. But if you're still maintaining that relationship, it means that at every other point in time, you are able to consider the both sides. And you see that the bad side of it, or the bad things that are happening, are minimal or considerable, that you are able to adapt or accommodate that, hence progressing and maintaining the relationship. But there are two things that may happen. Number one is that periodically, it may be that there's been something that has been happening in the negative. And as we always say, accommodating the other person, forgiveness has been happening. But if there is no change to the positive, that may be to a point where one feels this is suffocating. I can't accommodate this any longer. So a person will now make a decision of, I want out of a relationship. I want to break up with you. The second thing may be that you may come across information or an occurrence, maybe cheating, manipulation, or misrepresentation of the partner, and that makes you make a decision instantly to want out of the relationship. Regardless, this is unpleasant because initially the reason why you got into that relationship is that you wanted to create life together, to spend more years together. Remember, that desirable relationship is a space that both of you co-create. So if it comes to a point where you're saying, hands up, I'm throwing in the towel, it means that that dream no longer holds. So there are people who would make a decision of, I want out, and they're going to stick by it. Whether this is a formal or informal relationship, for formal relationships, other processes legally and otherwise have to follow. But there are also people who can make a decision of a one out based on hurt or pain, which can be validated. But later on, after some consideration, they may want to recall that decision. So now we're getting into a process of reconciliation. So what should be based on a reconciliation decision? What should you consider if you're making that decision to say, I'm turning back from my decision, I still want to maintain or to work on this relationship? The first thing that you should consider is, am I going to be able to get past what has happened? The hurtful thing, the painful thing that made you make a decision of I want out. Are you going to be able to get past that? Meaning to say, once you process the occurrence or whatever made you break up with a person, or have the initial thought of breaking up, are you going to be able to close that door and say, we want to rebuild this relationship? We want to move forward with you and I coexisting in a relationship. Therefore, this thing won't actively take a hold of what we're doing from now moving forward. Because now there has to be that process of forgiveness and living up to the word of, I'm going to change. But on the receiving end, as a person who had made a decision of, I can't go on with this relationship, are you going to be able to get past that? Number two is that, are you going to be able to modify your emotions, to be able to speak to the goal that you're going to make in saying, I want us to still continue to thrive in this relationship despite the hurtful thing that happened? If you find yourself answering no to these two questions, I'm afraid it's going to be very difficult for you to reconcile and still be in a thriving relationship. Because what's going to happen is, every time you see your partner, there's going to be a resurface of whatever hurt or pain that they took you through. And if you're staying together, proximity in the same house, if this is a formal relationship, if you're in a marriage, every time you see your partner and you're thinking about what they did to you, that's going to be hell. It's an emotional hell that you're putting yourself into. But also, if that person, your partner, the person who wronged you, is able to go past what they did and they change genuinely, to become a good person, to let go of whatever mistakes that they've done, but you on the receiving end again are not able to alter your emotions, your perception toward your partner, then you should also know that's a failing formula. So these two aspects, or these two areas have to be really considered. Number one, am I going to be able to get past this, what happened? Number two, am I going to be able to alter myself, to reframe in my mind and have a different perception of this person that I am with, so that we can continue to build life together? Unless you work on those two areas, it's